WCLN 1170 Radio and Star Communications Channel 16 proudly present the We Should Know Show, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative. Now, here's your host, JW Simmons, as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know's on there. I want to thank you for being with us today. I'm your host, JW Simmons. We're talking to Dr. Linda Jewell Carr. Most folks know her as Linda. Linda, this whole idea of you now being the executive director of the United Way is an important subject. I want to get into that. But I want to kind of look back historically a little bit at your track record. You have been unbelievably involved in the school system, in education, in teaching. You just last year retired from Camden County Schools as superintendent there, through Sampson County Schools, through various aspects of teaching, including dance. You've covered about all the bases, including teaching at the college. Let's talk about that career a little bit. How many years did you have in, and is that something that you were we were just talking off air about looking forward to retirement? How is that something that hit you? Was it something that, yeah, I did, but I still need something? Let's talk about that a bit. Okay.
Well, I was in education, public education, for 31 and a half years. Stayed out my 6 months and have returned to the college, and I'm doing part-time adjunct teaching there, which I'll probably do for many, many years. I am a teacher at heart and enjoyed my time with Clinton City Schools as a theater arts dance teacher at Clinton High School. I was there for 7 years before going into administration. But once I went into administration, I felt that it would make me a better administrator to continue to teach. So that's where I started at the college. So, and I actually taught at the college part-time for about 20 years. So teaching is in my blood. It's something that I enjoy. I enjoy public education. I think we need very dedicated people in public education, and my daughter is currently a senior, but she was a junior last year and really wanted to come back to Sampson County, so we returned back to Sampson County. I had done my 4 years to increase my salary for state retirement, so we came on back. Once she heads off to ECU, I may go back into full-time employment, but I am very happy to have been selected by a wonderful board of directors for nonprofit work with United Way of Sampson County. So the Lord blessed our family, and that came along. It's a part-time position, and my work at the college is part-time, so it allows me lots of additional time to spend with Jewell and travel around and do whatever she wants to do.
Wow. Perfect timing. I mean, I think it allows you that flexibility also. As you said, if there's something else you need to do, you've got some variances. It's not like you have such a tight schedule that you can't change that. So let's talk about the United Way thing. You got involved in that, and the board of directors you alluded to. I think it's important for folks to understand that all of those folks are local people. They're people that, if you called their names, we would start recognizing. For example, like Dr. Wesley Johnson at Clinton City Schools. When you looked at that organization, I know you've historically been a contributor to United Way for some years. As a person contributing to that organization, and you're a person that thinks things out. So you thought out pretty deep before you started putting your money in that organization. What caused you to say, I want to contribute to the United Way versus the numerous other organizations begging for donations?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that although United Way of Sampson County is a part of both the state level as well as the worldwide organization, each entity kind of operates under its own rules and regulations. So, for instance, there are a set of bylaws. This board of directors, they're all volunteers. They give their time freely because they too believe in the mission and the vision of United Way of Sampson County. It supports other nonprofits in our county, and 92 cents out of every dollar goes back to Sampson County citizens. And I knew the reputation that our United Way had. And so I felt grounded in knowing that the monies that were given to this United Way really do impact our people. They're not sent off other places. And so people that give to United Way of Sampson County can be just know the knowledge that the board of directors takes receiving the applications and dispersing it to other nonprofits very seriously. Nancy Carr, who you know well, she guided this organization since 1991. She was there over 20 years.
She championed it, I would think.
Absolutely. And she too was a part-time employee. So United Way of Sampson County has one employee, and now I'm blessed to be that employee, and it's part-time. And that's important because when I visit neighbors in other areas, sometimes they have several full-time employees and part-time employees. There's just variations on what their purpose is, what they do for their community, how big their team is. But our team here consists of one part-time employee, a hardworking, active board of directors that can be called on to actually be boots on the ground, doing things within our community. And then there's also an opportunity for volunteers. If someone would like to volunteer their time, there are places that, you can go and stand with us or help carry our mission and vision out through the community of what our United Way does. But we have people who utilize our United Way as a pass-through agency to other nonprofits. And even though the board of directors may not receive an application per se from that particular nonprofit, if you earmark your funds to a nonprofit within Sampson County, and we know that has been earmarked, that money is going to be gifted to them. So this year's campaign, we actually had a very generous donation that was made to the western part of the state, because they know there are other United Ways in the western part of the state, but they wanted to gift through United Way of Sampson County. And so the board of directors will honor that wish and will forward that money to the western part of the state that was so devastatingly impacted with the hurricane. So I just truly believe in United Way. And as you said, as an educator, I gifted to it for many years. Both of my kids were active in the scouting program and 4-H program, and those have been programs that historically have received applications and funded grants through United Way of Sampson. So, it's an organization that gives back. It's our people's money and funding. Some of it's corporate sponsorship through organizations, but a lot of it is private donations. And it may not be a lot of money, but every dollar counts. And it all adds up. And then it's given back.
Do you find yourself in that position that folks may come to you and say, well, look, we want to make that donation like in the western part of the state. And I want to follow that thread in a little while. But folks come to you and say, well, I want to make a donation, but I want it to go to a certain cause. And maybe you don't have a nonprofit that fits that mold. How do you work around that to make sure it goes to that cause, whether it's some kind of medical problem, whether it's something, for example, related to kids in school and nutrition, or, and there's just so many things out there. Are there caveats that does not have a nonprofit that you couldn't move the money to that nonprofit?
Well, I don't know about anything that you could come up with now that doesn't have a nonprofit associated with it.
Yeah, right.
Because there are just thousands upon thousands of nonprofits now. But I can assure you that we would research an organization if one was asked for to contribute, make sure it is a nonprofit, because that is one of the strict guidelines from worldwide, from state, and also our own bylaws, that an organization does have to be of nonprofit status.
Verifiable information. You have to have that to validate.
Right. But the ultimate mission of this board of directors is for nonprofits to submit an application, and the application can be found on our website. And we very much encourage nonprofits to submit an application. And then once we get a completed application, then they're invited to come and present for the board. January the 30th will be our date this year. And they'll be given a set time, and then they will present their nonprofit to the board if they're unfamiliar with it, and allow them to ask questions. And then they'll find out mid-February how much they were funded. And I can tell you that they very much want to fund everyone at 100%.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. We're talking about the United Way and the new executive director that's not, obviously, she's very well known in the community, Jewell Carr, and I think there's some of these parts here that you're going to want to know. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
Computer viruses, malware, and ransomware are out there. They're dangerous, and they can steal your identity and damage your equipment. Star Communications is now offering Protect IQ. The service adds an extra layer of protection to every device connected to your network, working quietly in the background. Star can help you protect yourself from the inside out with Protect IQ. Call Star today and take advantage of this free service when you sign up for whole home Wi-Fi with Star Communications.
How can your friend save you money? It's easy. Refer a relative, coworker, neighbor, or friend to Star Communications. Friend signs up for high-speed internet service. Friend's new account is confirmed. Friend gives your name to our service representative as the one who referred them to Star. You receive a $30 internet credit. It's just that simple. And even better, receive a $30 internet credit for every referral that results in a new confirmed account. High-speed internet from Star Communications. Refer a friend today.
Let's get out of here.
During the month of December, when you sign up for security service from Star Communications, their Star security team will install your new system free of charge. Free installation. Sign up today for security from Star Communications.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thanks for being with us today. Name of the show is We Should Know. I'm your host, JW Simmons. Remember, you can reach us online at weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. That's weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. If you want to drop us a postcard, just drop it to Post Office Box 1482. That's We Should Know, Post Office Box 1482, right here in Clinton, North Carolina, 28329. We're talking with Dr. Linda Jewell Carr, formerly now Executive Director Linda Jewell Carr, with the United Way. The United Way, the conceptual reality of it just almost sounds too good to be true. You've got an organization that is run by a board of directors that are local people that we can go over the list of their names, and some of them I could just peel off, but I don't want to start that because I'll forget one. The other part is they know you. We just heard about your background in the community, your family connection in the community, your involvement in this community. Does each county in the state have a United Way, or is it just some counties that has a United Way?
Well, I would love to tell you that all 100 counties have a United Way, but that is not the reality. In fact, there are some United Ways that are regional that may serve like 4 different counties. Sampson County's United Way only serves Sampson County, and it's been in existence since 1991. Mm-hmm. But just next door, DuPont County doesn't have a United Way. And however, you've got Wayne County that's very close, that has a very large United Way. So it does vary in different counties and different regions. So we're also a part of what's called East of 95, which Nancy told me to make sure I got involved with these fine folks, because this is a bi-monthly meeting that our area, like the eastern part of the state, gets together with other executive directors so we can compare what are they doing, how is their campaign being run, ideas that they may have that may be accepted in our area. So it's a really good place to go to share ideas, get input, and so I've enjoyed already getting to know some of those folks. But no, sadly, there's not one in every county.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important, though. I have to agree with Nancy on that, because you can compare ideas. What's working somewhere may not work here, vice versa. Right. But it may be something that needs to be looked into. The big thing seems to, and I guess it makes sense over time that I've heard more and more, is what you mentioned earlier about the amount of money that I donate goes, and that's 92 cents out of the dollar that I donate. In Sampson County.
Now, again,
tell us
that's
about
different in different United Ways.
So each board can set their own kind of procedural game. So, for example, if you have the person that says, I want to make a donation of, whether it's $5 or $5,000, it's irrelevant, but I want to make a donation, but I just want to be sure it goes to help those folks that does not have a home, that's been washed away in, I don't know, Black Mountain or wherever it may be, and they specify the western part of the state. Can they zero that down to a geographical area or to a town? For example, if they say, I want to donate X number of $1,000, but I want it to go to help Asheville recover.
Right.
Is that something that the local board of directors makes a decision that they can do that? Or is there a broad pathway that you have to have enough leverage to say, we'll get it to that area, but I can't assure you that we'll get it to that exact location?
Well, again, part of the parameters is it has to be a nonprofit. And it has to be a nonprofit for Sampson County that's been in existence at least 3 years. The donations that we've received, the vast majority go towards organizations that complete that application. And I brought with me the 2024 grantees that were awarded, and that could give individuals an idea of where some of the funding has gone for Sampson County. But we really like the unrestricted donation and prefer that because it does give the board that autonomy to hear those applications, see those applications, and be able to really ensure that all of their bookkeeping checks off and all of those different things. And by going through the application process and trusting the United Way board to disseminate your dollars ensures that. Now, like you said, there are organizations that are credible, that we are already familiar with, that are well-known nonprofits, and were someone to ask us to be the pass-through agency for that, we would honor that. And if for some reason it was questionable, then we would reach back out to that person who donated it and have that conversation, and so that we could follow up on it. But as long as it's a nonprofit that has had good bookkeeping, can account for how they spent people's monies, I think that the board would just honor it. When I came on board, we had some donations that were similar that had been asked to be direct donations. And so I researched it, and they were all well known. Yes. And some of them right here in Sampson County. And so we issued the checks for exactly what was given, dollar for dollar on how much was gifted to United Way, and sent that on.
When you look at, and of course you've been there a few months now, but when you look at a number of things that United Way is funding or supporting, should I say, because I don't know that any one agency can totally fund one, but each one of these organizations that you're funding are nonprofits. What about, say, churches that have missions and those kinds of things? Does a church have to be registered as a nonprofit, or is that another entity?
Well, it's funny that you asked the question specifically about churches, because that is something that we're, I'm not really sure how to answer that question right now, because with it being a church, it would probably be best if you wanted to give to that particular mission to go straight through that church, because churches, it's something written within the bylaws that I would just suggest going directly through your church if it was something that you wanted to fund a particular mission that they do.
Yeah, and the reason I ask that is because I'm aware of some churches that have partnered with churches in the western part of the state.
Right.
And they are not only dispensing funds there,
right,
but they're dispensing, everything from coats to one particular Christian group here is going to the western part of the state and literally cooking food for them, right, and handing it out. So those kinds of things, it would be hard because of the structure of United Way to actually get into, because they wouldn't, unless they're a registered nonprofit. It would be hard to kind of transition that money out unless you change some of the policies locally.
Well, and I would just say if you have questions, direct questions, just call the office. Again, that phone number can be found online, and it is 910-592-4263, and has been for years, but you can find it online. Or you can email us directly, and it's UnitedSampson at intrstar.net. But email us, call us, and ask the specific question, and we'll do our best to try to help you know where your contribution is going. There are lots of United Ways in the western part of the state, and we participate in some calls to find out what it is that they're needing, what can we do to support. United Way of Sampson County did send 1,000 hygiene kits up almost immediately after when they started collecting items. That went right away. And so, you know, there are things other than monetary donations that people can do.
The interesting thing to me too, do you, when you hear from some of these places in the western part of the state, do you hear of certain things that they need? I'm being told by some folks that they're basically saying now we just need money. We've got enough clothes and coats and that kind of thing, but the money is needed for rebuilding, whether it's a hut to live in or something. And given that as a reality, how do you take that information, and if somebody says, well, look, I don't want to get into just giving it to anybody. I want an organization I trust, which, United Way is one of those organizations. How do you make that work, I guess is what I'm saying, organizationally from what you do and what your board does? Do they have the latitude to make something work on a very quick time scale to move money to appropriate causes?
I guess the short answer would be yes. But I do think that this board takes other people's money very seriously, just like I do, and would ensure that it went to an appropriate place. But we do have neighboring partners, and that's part of the reason why we're a part of United Way of North Carolina. And so as a statewide organization, we are able to network and hear directly from others.
I want to take a break now, but when we come back, I want to talk about some of those things that you see that funds are needed for, those organizations that you're already supporting.
Okay.
So folks will understand funds are needed for this organization, whether it's the Scouts or whether it's 4-H or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a moment. We're talking about United Way right here in Sampson County, about how you can help. We'll be back in a moment.
At Fisher's, it's not just about fashion. It's about exceptional service. Experience top-notch customer care and find your perfect look. Visit Fisher's today and feel the difference.
Experiencing slow internet? If you have a fast internet package, the problem is most likely your wireless router. With more devices using Wi-Fi, your wireless router may not be able to deliver the speed and coverage you need. We now have the leading solution to enhance your internet experience. Using small devices in a mesh network, these Wi-Fi appliances cover just about any size home so that all your devices can operate to their fullest potential. Whole home Wi-Fi from Star Communications. Get the most out of your internet connection.
If you run a business, you need sales. To get sales, you need customers. To get customers, you need exposure. Let our team of experts craft and produce the perfect video ad to reach your intended audience while making the most of your advertising dollars. Call 1-800-706-6538 or visit starcom.net to contact our Star Communications production team and get your business moving to the next level.
The average American household has 17 devices connected to the internet. With more and more devices able to get online, you may need to increase your internet speed. Call Star Communications today and let us help you select the package that's right for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. JW Simmons here, your host. The name of the show is We Should Know. We're coming to you on site today, and we're literally talking about ways you can help. And there's been a lot of discussion about the western part of North Carolina, the tragedies that are occurring there. But as you know, ladies and gentlemen, it does not take away from things that is happening at your back door. And one of the people that is in charge of an organization called United Way, as executive director, is Dr. Linda Carr. And Linda, you're looking literally at Sampson County. I think it's one of the things that should be interesting to people is that the funds that they give go to help their neighbors in many cases. Right. They go to help as you mentioned, the Boy Scouts, the Firefighters Association here, other organizations that are innately involved, intricately involved in their own communities. And those are kinds of things, if they have questions, they can call and ask you about. But highlight some of those for us and kind of how that process works. And I circle back to what you said in the very first part of the show, at that 92 cents on the dollar with United Way. That's kind of unheard of, because normally you see anywhere from 60 to 70% going to administrative costs.
Right.
So I just want folks to understand that that's a tremendously small amount of percentage when you look at the variance. So.
That's right. And again, that's to be credited with the way that United Way of Sampson County was designed. It was designed to be basically a volunteer organization. So I'm very proud of that too. And I knew that donations went directly to Sampson County citizens, and over 12,000 citizens are impacted each year through gifts that are given by our people for our people. And I think that that's a huge testament. Both school systems have historically applied. With Sampson County Schools, it's an organization called Friends of Education. And they operate as a nonprofit where teachers will apply to Friends of Education and apply for a grant for their classroom or their school. And so Friends of Education applies for a grant through United Way. Then the teacher applies for the grant through Friends of Education. And then that's how extra additional dollars are spent for that child for that particular project. And similarly, within Clinton City Schools, there's the Cafe organization, and they do the same thing. But you're correct. There are just so many different ways that United Way of Sampson County directly impacts our folks, all the way to senior citizens. There are wheelchair ramps for senior citizens and those that have special needs that may need a wheelchair ramp, and through the Department of Aging, who submits a grant, and United Way helps fund some of those things. So a lot of grants or apply for grants for prevention material, and which I think is great. The Department of Health applies for one for both breast and cervical cancer literature to be disseminated and handed out at local community health fairs, and as well as helping uninsured folks with mammograms. So, what a great way to help others discover something before it does come cancer. Same thing similarly with Firefighters Association. Prevention literature is purchased and handed out on fire safety, CPR, health safety, through the schools, daycares, Head Start, but all of those materials cost money to produce and hand out. So Firefighters Association has historically submitted a grant, and that's what they do. They do prevention materials for fire safety, which I think is just excellent. Each year, a grant has been submitted for Special Olympics, which we all can stand behind and support. But it's not just Special Olympics in general, it's Special Olympics for our folks here in Sampson County, to make sure that they have the opportunity to compete and get together prior to doing a competition like on a state level. Similarly, in the school system, and I love this part about it, it's a collaborative, and it's called Champions Program, which is also for special populations, but it gives these kids an opportunity to get together for district activities within all the schools together. So they're able to get together and do different kinds of activities together on the district days, and with that Champions program. Another nonprofit that has been submitting a grant is the Child Advocacy Center. So
they do great work. I've had them on the show before.
Right.
They literally are not only dynamically needed, but sometimes it's very sad to just see the kinds of things that they look at that's not taken care of by county funds.
Right. And similarly with that prevention literature, a portion of their grant goes to how do you work against child abuse or neglect? What is child abuse and neglect? And purchase some of those materials. And so people's funds can be used for our own folks, and you can be assured that the board takes other people's money very seriously. United Way of Sampson County is its own nonprofit, is a 501(c)(3). Anybody that submits a donation that would like a tax-deductible letter, we will gladly produce that for the giver to, if you itemize on your taxes and you're able to put down donations, we will gladly provide you a letter for any kind of gift or donation.
How about folks that are listening today, maybe that are a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, and they are reaching out to try to help sustain their organization, whether it's an orphanage or whatever it may be. Can they also reach out to you and say, what do I need to do to get on your list as a, donor or a receiver of funds? Is that the way to approach it, or is there an application online that they fill out and then send to you?
Correct.
Or if they want to call you, they can call you, I guess, just chat.
Well, anytime anyone has a question, we'd encourage you to call or email. However, the organizations that our board will sit down with to decide what we will do with this year's campaign funds do need to be within Sampson County if they're going to submit an application. But yes, that is the process. There's an application online, and I'll be happy to put one in the mail if they prefer to fill it out that way. We just need the application filled out. It does ask for 3 years worth of financials, so you have to submit 3 years worth of your IRS forms. There are questions that you have to answer, like what funding are you asking for? What will you do with that money? What's the breakdown of how? And our campaign this year, we're hoping to raise $200,000, and we can't give away what we don't receive. So we're only about 50% there. Our campaign generally goes from the beginning of November to the end of December. But obviously, you can make a gift any time of year. But if you're trying to do it within 2024 for taxes, you'd want to go ahead and be thinking about donating. Also, traditionally, something that United Way of Sampson County has done is called a dine out event. And this year it's going to be on December the 13th, Friday, December the 13th. And there are 6 restaurants that have graciously agreed to donate funds back to United Way of Sampson County if you go and have either lunch or dinner there. And this is our little flyer for United Way. It's Alfredo's Southern Style Pizza Inn has been added this year. Wachang Buffet, Ribeye Steakhouse, and Mafinka are the local restaurants.
Will you do that each year?
Each year there's been one of these.
At the same time?
Around the same time, but the date that the board selected was Friday, December 13th. But it's about that time of year each year.
So if they happen to miss this year or what have you, they could look at next year, but just keep the call or look at the website and see if there's...
Right. This is just really, it's to assist with reminding folks that, hey, it's campaign season and United Way really needs your funds.
Yeah.
So it's just another way of just a reminder. But we also have like a sign up in front of the courthouse square reminding folks that it's campaign time.
Yeah.
But we really would appreciate financial support. Again, a gift of $5 adds up.
Absolutely.
We've had everything from gifts of $5 to gifts of $20,000. So we take your money very seriously and giving it back to the people of Sampson County.
We're going to take another break and come back for the last part of the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're talking about United Way, an organization that is known in the county. And if you look at the folks that's on the board of directors, an organization of people that you'll recognize and folks that are using those donations to go right back into the county to support key organizations that may not have the funds. We'll be back in a moment.
You're out for an evening on the town. Finally a chance to relax and forget that you left your front door completely unlocked. Fortunately, you just installed a security system from Star Communications. With just your cell phone, you can check on your house, lock it down, light it up, and get back to relaxing.
You forgot to put Buster in his crate.
Unfortunately, we can't help with that. Security and automation from Star Communications. Call today to find out more.
Providing fewer commutes, more backyard offices, and crystal clear meetings. Providing less, you froze up, and more presence in your presentations. Providing a better internet experience. Providing possible.
At the Reedy Mark, we take pride in a unique, distinguished customer experience. We specialize in handcrafted cocktails, allocated bourbons, as well as gourmet signature food items exclusive to our menu at the Reedy Mark in Roseboro.
Let's get out of here.
During the month of December, when you sign up for security service from Star Communications, their Star Security team will install your new system free of charge. Free installation. Sign up today for security from Star Communications.
Welcome to Cork and Brew Roseboro, where you can enjoy your favorite coffee, fraps, smoothies, bakery items, sandwiches, and select beer and wines while reconnecting with friends and family. Sit down and enjoy the experience. Come on by and give us a try.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Last part of the show coming up. We Should Know is the name of this show. My name is JW Simmons. I'm your host. Coming to you on two mediums, Star Communications TV, Channel 16, WCLN Radio out of Clinton, North Carolina. And also remember that the show airs at 2:30 on TV and radio on Tuesdays, each and every week. There's a replay at 7 p.m. on Star Communications TV Channel 16. So if you happen to miss it, you can pick it up at 7 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday. Questions or comments or concerns, please let us know. Again, you can put that on our email, weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. You can drop us a card, Post Office Box 1482, Clinton, North Carolina. Today, we're talking about United Way. We have with us the Executive Director. And Linda Carr, you have gone over a number of things that United Way does and engagements with United Way. As we come up on this last part of the show here, I want to make sure that we kind of check all those blocks and make folks feel, I guess, as comfortable as possible, because we are talking about money, but it seems to me that you have some choices this time of the year if you're going to make a donation. And you happen to be in that category of where you make it to a nonprofit organization, where you can itemize it, write it off on your taxes, or you just wait and see how much and just write a check to the IRS You know, we always know, and I'm not going to get too deep into that because I'm going to stay very shallow because I need at least 3 CPAs to explain it to me. But that's literally where we are at this time of the year. I mean, and you guys do the distribution of funds that you receive to all of these organizations that we talked about on a once a year kind of cycle, right? So it's not like something you get $50,000 and say, well, okay, we're just going to distribute it this month. You know, you usually do that as an annual thing, right?
That's correct. Again, the applications are available online. And if anyone has any questions about the application itself or steps, you know, feel free to reach out to the office. We'll be glad to meet with you and discuss that. But annually, even these organizations that have received funding before, they know they have to submit a new application. 3 years worth of financials. What are you going to do with that funding? You have to be a nonprofit and you need to be within Sampson County so that the money does go back for our folks. Because people, maybe don't have as much free money to give as maybe they once did. The same is true for United Way, and the board has not been able to 100% fund the requests that we've received, but it's all dependent on how much we receive. Sure. So the more we receive, the more we can gift back. And so one year they were only able to fund applications at 90%, the year prior at 85%. But we would love to get back to funding applications back at 100%. But it's all dependent on those that feel inclined to give, and all areas of giving are appreciated, you know, whether it's $25 or $500. You can be assured that that money is going to impact your friends and neighbors and perhaps your family.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think is important too is with United Way, all those agencies are transparent. They're there for folks to look at, and they're, you know, there for, you know, for whatever reason. If somebody says, well, I don't like that particular organization, or they do like this organization, or what have you, you want to designate funds, you can do it. And that's the beauty of it. I'm sitting here listening to you talk, Linda, and you work with government literally your entire career. I have as well. Right. And, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, wait a minute now. If government, we don't have that control. Right. When government gets our tax dollars, somebody else makes that decision. But here you're talking about an organization that we get to make decision. How to put it in perspective for folks as we're talking, would it not be really a strange thing if you could write that tax check each year and say, I want this amount to go to education, or I want this amount to go to aging? Would that not?
That would be great.
A lot of people I'm shocking. I'll probably get calls for saying that because I know it's two different entities. But at the same time, it's an innovative way through United Way to get funds to a particular organization that you totally support. Scouting is a big deal here. You know, child advocacy is a huge deal here. Firefighters Association, those things. I mean, I'm just going over a few that I know that we've you know, had folks on the show and talked about. Is that a reasonable perspective to put out there for folks to think about? Absolutely. And if you're wanting to know what partner agencies have been funded, even in 2024, that information is also available on the website. And so there's everything from agriculture, horticulture, health and wellness, 4-H. So there's everything from little people all the way to senior citizens that this organization supports. But the list of partner agencies are online, and along with a contact, a phone number, and, you know, you can call them and say, how did the gift from United Way help your organization? And it obviously helps them do part of what they're trying to do to make sure that we live healthy lives, that we are able to educate
our youth and our adults. You know, the missions of the United Way are pretty standard worldwide, and it is an organization that helps try to improve welfare and in our world, you know, make it a better place.
Absolutely.
And we're making it a better place through gifts that are given by others. But I do think that it's a safe place that people can feel comfortable and a trusted organization. Even our funds that we received, we have an accounting agency that works with the organization, and we don't submit our own IRS forms, but because it is other people's money, it's really important that people know that it's being spent right.
Do you find that particularly in times of disasters, especially state or national disasters in an area, for example, the western part of the state again, major disaster up there, millions of dollars it's going to take to recover. It's going to take years to do that. Do you find that at that time, during those times, that oftentimes the donations drop in other areas because people maybe are giving directly to other organizations, or is this the time they should ramp up?
Well, I do think they ramp up. I think maybe not specifically to a United Way of Sampson County, but I think we all here in our area, we know the effects that a hurricane has. So I am very proud of Sampson County and how active all of the churches and individuals in their giving with, if it was something that was called on specifically, but the amount of trucks and even people that have gone to assist. I think that there is a ramping up. It was 2016 that was the last real big impact that United Way of Sampson County did a lot of individual funding for hurricane victims. But we know how that feels. So even though we're right in the middle of campaign season, we're only at 50%.
Right.
I do still believe in my heart that we have good people here in our county, and I think that people stepped up to the challenge to help our neighbors in the western part of the state. We're very giving people.
But another thing too is that this time of the year we're at that moment, that faith-based moment at this time of the year that we talk about giving, caring, and sharing. Those kinds of things is part of the relevance of our faith and our belief and caring for other people. Now would be the time to also to make mention churches as a whole. If they want to make a donation they could make that to United Way, helping local entities. I know a lot of churches do mission work, and all of that's great. But you know, Linda, there's huge missions right here amongst us that needs some care and concern as well.
Absolutely. And a church could feel comfortable in knowing that it's going to impact a wider region. It's going to impact all of Sampson County. Like I said, over 12,000 people annually directly receive funding from United Way of Sampson County through one of these partner organizations. And that's all the way from point to point and all the way across.
Absolutely. So. And I think you'll join with me, and you know, as we kind of come to close here today, thanking Nancy Carr for all of her years of dedication and service to United Way. Nancy, we appreciate everything you've done and continue to do, and also look forward to Linda Jewell Carr.
Well, thank you.
Now picking up that mantle and moving forward with it.
And I appreciate the board. Again, they're a volunteer board, but they believe in the mission of United Way.
And it's a challenge. It's a challenge that is worth picking up a mantle and running with that and making it happen.
You can believe in it.
And kind of believing in something beyond ourselves. So again, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We look forward to having you back and talking about other things that may need to be done through United Way. And certainly I know a lot of your board members, so oftentimes they've already been on the show. So we'll talk to them as well. So again, thanks for being with us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you again each and every week here on We Should Know. Hopefully we're bringing you some information and maybe educating you. We'll be back next week. Look forward to seeing you again, and may God bless.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host JW Simmons. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion regarding this or any episode, please send your emails to weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.